Welcome to Birmingham Citadel. As the lockdown eases a little bit, we are allowed to open once again for worship, and so we put together this little video just to show you what you can expect the next time you come to Birmingham Citadel and what you need to do to make yourself safe in our building. So come into our building with me. To attend any worship event at Birmingham Citadel going forward, it's imperative that you book in advance to say that you are coming. Now this is very simple, there's nothing complicated at all. All we need you to do is email in advance to the core mail drop, and the details of that mail drop account are on the front of dispatches or will appear just now on screen. And all we need you to do is in the subject box, you just put the Sunday that you're coming, and then in the main text of the email, just put your name and how many are going to be in your party. In that way, we'll know that you're coming in advance. Alternatively, if you don't have email, you can always ring us on the core telephone number during the week. Now we do need to have a cut-off point for our booking system, so every week our cut-off point for Sunday meetings will be Friday evening at 6 o'clock. That will give us a good idea of who's coming. When you come to worship on a Sunday, you'll find somebody greeting you here in the foyer. They'll have a tick list of all the people that have booked in advance, so there's nothing for you to fill out if you've actually filled in advance. Visitors, on the other hand, will need to give us some details for the government's track and trace system, and it's very simple. It's just one little sheet of paper that you take and you'd fill in your name, email address, phone number, time in and time out, and then you just leave it on the desk at the end of the meeting, and that gives us a record of who's coming to the meeting. Important to remember that as we come into the building, social distancing, 2 meters apart, and we need to maintain that throughout. After you've seen the smiling face, whoever's looking after the hall that morning, the next stage is an imperative part of protection: hand sanitizer. Please wash your hands as you enter the building. You can do it in 2 different ways. You can use the toilets to actually go wash your hands with soap and water, or you can have a squirt of the hand sanitizer, and that will clean your hands before you go into the main worship hall. As from the August the 8th, the government requires that anybody attending worship also wears a face mask. Well, we recommend you bring your own so that you can be comfortable with what you have, something that you're using all the time. But if you don't have one, there'll always be a supply of face masks for you to take and use while you're in the building. Also dotted around the building, you'll find anti-bac wipes in case you need them at any time. So come, follow me, we'll go into the main hall for worship. We do have to observe a one-way system, and we invite you to come along with me, and then you'll see what that one-way system is. Now normally you go that way to the hall, not under our one-way system. Our main worship hall is to this way. So come with me, let's go to worship. As you can see, the main hall is not as you would normally find it on our usual Sunday. Many of the seats have had to be taken out in order to maintain the 2 meters social distancing. So as you come into the hall, the very first thing you'll find is a table as you enter, and if there's any kind of worship activities or worship aids that you need for the day, Bible readings or anything like that, they'll be on disposable sheets for you. Just take one and take it with you to your seat, and afterwards you can dispose of it yourself at home. Now, as you can see around the main hall, seats are organised, and we will try and make sure that you are put in groups of households depending on how you book. On the floor is all the signage that you need to follow our one-way system. Now, our one-way system is very simple. It's literally the red carpet going around the hall. So we go down this one, round the back, up and across. So literally, if you just keep to that one-way system, if you're sat over that side of the hall and you need to go out you need to follow the one-way system. Likewise, if you're on this side and you need to be over there, you need to follow the one-way system. This just helps us to minimize the interaction that we have and keep that 2 meters social distancing. You'll notice that the signs on the floor remind you all the time to keep your 2 meters, and they will give you the direction of travel. Now, the signs are 2 meters apart just to help you as well, which gives you an idea of how far apart you should be. Whilst we're here for worship, it's important that at the moment we understand that we cannot sing. That's not possible, and we await new guidelines as and when they come. We have to make sure that our voices aren't raised. We also won't have the band or the songsters or any of the other things that we're used to here at the Salvation Army. But we have God, and we still can have a worthwhile worship service. Children will need to remain in the care of their parents throughout. And what we do urge is common sense. As you use the hall, as you keep that social distancing, common sense is the order of the day. At the end of the service, we will invite rota time to leave. Now, we're going to leave different to how we came in. You came in at the front of the hall at the beginning of the service. At the end of the service, you'll be leaving out the back of the hall. Now, we recognise that to go out of the old foyer exit, some people might not manage the stairs. And if you can't manage the stairs, we just ask that you remain in your seat until everybody else has left, and we can let you then go out in other ways. But to go out, it will be a rota time, and we'll need to go out this way, through this door. And as you go out, you'll notice there on the table, we have our offering. During our services, we're not allowed to pass the offering plate along, so we're doing our offering in 2 different ways. You'll have seen on our YouTube video that we've now got a new app, a smartphone app called Gift, and I encourage you to go have a look at that video to see how you can give contactlessly through your smartphone. It's very simple. But if you prefer, we can still take monetary donations, and we invite you to just put them in this sealed container at the end of the meeting. And then in 72 hours time, the Treasurer will count those in a secure environment, maintaining her own safety. At the end of the meeting, we go this way, and we go out through the old foyer, and we follow a simple one-way system through the old foyer. As you come through, you'll see that on the floor there are areas that are marked closed. Anywhere you see that sign on the floor of the hall, please don't enter through to that part of the hall, because those parts have become sterile areas. They're not in use, and so we ask that you don't go into them. And so at the end of the meeting, literally, we invite you to go straight through the main doors. They'll be open, and there'll be somebody in this area to help you as you go. Now, here in the old foyer as well, we have a hand sanitizer station. So there is one here, one at the back of the hall, one in the main foyer, and we encourage you throughout to be constantly into this vigilant state of cleaning hands and making sure that you keep those 2 meters distance. Now, at the moment in our worship services, unfortunately there's no refreshments, so we're not using the kitchen to provide our normal cup of tea and biscuit. But one of the things we do need to provide is the one thing you're wondering about, and that's toilets. So if you're needing the toilet, you're not stopped from using the toilet. We just have to do the toilets a little bit differently. And so very simply, the disabled toilet that's in the old foyer you can still use, and that's a very clear 1 person in, 1 person out, and you just indicate that you lock the door. But it's a little bit more difficult in the main foyer. The main foyer toilets would normally have multiple occupants, but under the 2 meter safe distancing, we need to keep that to 1 person at a given time, and therefore to use the toilets we need to keep this one-way system going as well. And so we invite you to use this corridor, and this is the corridor. If we go along here, if there's many people wanting to use the toilet, we need to have a queuing system. We hope that won't be the case all the time, but simply maintain the 2 meters distance and wait at the allotted points. And then when you get to the end of the corridor, you'll be able to tell if the toilets are vacant or whether they're occupied simply because of the signs that are on there. Come along and I'll show you what I mean. When you go to the toilet, because they're only one person occupancy, as you go in, you simply take the toilet vacant sign and you swap it around and you make it toilet occupied. You go in, occupy the toilet, do whatever you need to do, clean your hands, and then when you come out again, very simple, you turn it to toilet vacant. There will be somebody in the main foyer, so they'll be supervising everything that's going on in here. But hopefully that's the easiest way of using the toilets during this present time. We will have a cleaning regime that the toilets will be checked very regularly to make sure that they're clean. But in each of the toilets, for your own personal safety, if you want, there will be anti-bac wipes, and you can at any time clean down any surfaces before you use them. But we are maintaining a full cleaning regime throughout, where handles and all other areas are cleaned using disinfectant to make sure that they're COVID free. Hopefully we've made it very clear to you what the hall layout looks like under the new normal and what's expected of yourself. We do believe that we can still give a safe worship environment, and that's why we're opening. We will continue to be guided by government and Salvation Army guidelines. But in the meantime, we hope you'll keep safe, and we do look forward to the time that we can see you again for worship in our building. Most importantly, whilst you're away from us, God is never away from you, and we hope you'll know the presence of God. And we hope to see you soon. God bless.